everyone, I'm Ben with BTC Sessions. I'm here in Calgary, Canada, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Coldlar hardware wallet. Now this is a hardware wallet that I would say falls into the premium category because it has a higher price point but is also pretty sturdily built. You can store Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a host of other altcoins as well as ERC20 tokens, and we're going to take a look at how it works and what I think. Here we go. Alright, so first things first, let's start with the packaging. And I've got to give it to them. Their packaging on this thing is pretty nice. Ignore the fact that it's dinged up a little bit from shipping, but let's take a look at what it looks like inside. So the box slides open, and you flip open the front here, and here's the device itself. And I've got to say, the first time I took a look at this, I got the feeling that it was more impressive than my phone. So you can plop it out here. Now this thing has some weight to it. It's you know, metal and glass, and it feels actually pretty premium. So yeah, really nice. It has a speaker up here. It charges via USB-C on the bottom, and there's a single button up top. And on the back here you have a fingerprint scanner and a camera for scanning QR codes. As far as what else is included in the box, below this you have a leather case to carry it in, which is great. And below that you have your manual, which unfortunately for me is in Chinese, but they did send me a PDF copy of the English version, so that was nice. And down below that you have your charging cable, which is USB to USB-C, so you can charge it via your computer, or if you have a block from a phone or something like that, you can charge it that way as well. So we're going to take a look at the initial setup here. Now I did have to switch this over from Chinese to English. When you do initially set this up, there will be an option in the top right hand corner to switch the language. It did take me a second to figure out what I was doing there, and I've been a little timid with some of the stuff because, again, with it being shipped from China, you know, there's a couple little things that took me a moment to find out how to work, but other than that, it's been fantastic. On the main screen here, you have this little movable button that will get you back to your home screen once you've set up the wallet. And down below right now, you have the options to create a new wallet or restore wallet if you have a backup that you'd like to restore onto this device. But we're going to create from scratch, so we're going to hit Create New Wallet. And it gives you a seed, pretty much standard fare for most crypto wallets nowadays. You have a seed here, which is a series of words that you're going to write down and save in case you lose the device or it gets damaged or whatever. Now here you do have the option to get a seed that is numbers or Chinese characters, so you have some options there. Or if you want to create a new seed, you can just hit generate random seed and it will create a whole new list of words here. Now when you have written down these words, you can hit next. It does notify you that you need to have these as a backup in case of damaging the device or losing your info. I'm just going to hit go on, and it now asks me to tap the words in the order that I've written them down, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now that I've tapped them all in order, I need to enter a password. Now this password has to be between 10 and 30 characters, has to have upper and lowercase letters and numbers, and has to contain special characters. So you can't have the 1, 2, 3, 4 here. You need to have something secure, which will be used to encrypt the device. Without this password, you cannot use the device, all right? So, okay, and once I put that in, it's going to prepare everything and start a new wallet. Now this allows you to set up a gesture, so kind of like on Android, an unlock screen gesture that you can do, or set up a fingerprint. At the time, I'm not going to do this. Anyways, we'll hit cancel for now. Now, when you first load this up, this is your main screen. You have a list of assets here. You can see the ones that you have access to are Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, Dash, and Dogecoin. If you'd like to edit that list, there is a little eye in the top right, and if you tap that, it gives you the options to uncheck anything you don't want to use. It also gives you further options to add Ripple or NEM. And you can add ERC20 tokens, but that is done through the paired app on your phone, which we'll get into in a moment. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck some of these just so that we have only a few assets listed on our wallet. So I'll leave those 3. And when I go back, now I can see I just have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum listed here. Beyond that, you have your submenu in the top left. So you have things for safety, you can add contacts. In the functions, you have another screen to back up your seed, you have your public key, you can export addresses, reset the wallet, so on and so forth. Furthermore, if you go down to settings, you also have your security settings like fingerprint and gesture. This is where you would turn on a fingerprint. You also have general system settings like the display. Just if you do have a fingerprint set up, you can go ahead, you can hit and tap, and you can delete the fingerprint if you want. Otherwise, you can add fingerprints down below. When you reset the device, it actually doesn't delete the fingerprint. It keeps it stored as a default. You have to go in and manually do that. Same thing goes for gestures. Anyways, that is good to go. In order to get back here, you'll notice that back button is gone when I go to settings. So I just tap the little movable button and it takes me back. Now it will ask me at various points to import my password to unlock. And there we go. Now that we've taken a look at the device itself and the general settings there, let's take a look at the paired app, and once we're through that, we'll look at how they interact together. So this paired app is actually, at the time of making this video, not available on the app stores in either the Google Play or iOS App Store, but rather you have to download it through your browser. And I will provide this link down below in the description of the video. But once you download it, you just install it like any other app, and that's that. So if I go back to my home screen here, I do have it set up right here. When you go into the app itself, it gives you a little description, but essentially the device and the app are not exactly paired. And what I mean is you're not actually going to be plugging in your device to your phone or your computer or anything. In fact, this device itself, this device never gets plugged into anything other than to charge, all right? And it never actually connects to the internet. It's just a way of holding your private keys to your cryptocurrency. So I'll explain more about this, but let's take a look at this app here. So you have a few basic things. You have an option to scan a QR code. You have the actual wallet itself. And then you have a few other things down below. You have your wallet right there in all these tabs down below. You can tap to see the markets. Now it is denominated in US dollars and yen. And you can go into BTC, BCH, LTC, ETH. You can see all of the various currencies. If you go to news, now unfortunately this is all in Chinese, so not super useful to me at the moment, but I'm sure that'll be easily updated to allow for English as well. And if you go into account, this is where you're going to find all of your settings when it comes to currency, localities, all that kind of stuff, transaction records. It's impossible for me to cover everything and have this video be a reasonable length, so I'm just going to hit on some of the main points. The main thing that you need to do when you set up is you're going to tap on Coldlar Wallet in the middle. And right here, if you don't have one, you can buy one online. If you do, you can just say, I already have one, and hit enter. And this is where you're going to be able to import wallet addresses. Now, how do we do this? So this is the interesting part. You actually need to be scanning QR codes to import the information from your Coldlar wallet to the app, because again, this app doesn't access, or this device does not access the internet. You've got to provide this information directly to your phone via QR code. So we're going to take a look at how that works. In order to export these accounts or any other accounts that I have to the Coldlar wallet, what I need to do is I go to the menu in the top left. I'm going to go to function, and then I'm going to go to export address. Now this is going to open up my list of all the assets that I could export from this wallet, and you can do all of them or you could export just specific ones, and I'm going to just export the ones that I had checked off in the first place. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Then I'm going to tap the export button in the bottom right, and it brings up this QR code. Now, in this QR code is all the information necessary to give the app on my phone the balances, or to track the balances of these particular addresses. So what I'm going to do with the app is I say I already have my Coldlar. I'm going to hit import wallet address. Now, this isn't a single address that I'm importing, it's multiple currencies. So I'm going to tap batch import in the top right. I am going to scan a QR code, so I tap that button, allow, and I'm just going to scan the QR code provided. Now, once I successfully scan, it will import all of the assets that I had designated. And since I had also designated Ethereum as one of the assets, it imports all of the default ERC20 tokens as well, and their balances. Now, if I do not want those, I can change it by going to the top right. There's three little dots, and coin management. This allows me to check off anything extra. What I can do, now you don't see them here, but in the top right, again, there's a little thing that says ERC20. I can tap that, and I can knock off any of these that I don't want to use. When I go back, I'm provided just with the three that I designated. So let's see about actually putting some funds onto the Coldlar wallet. Now, this is just like any other wallet. You're going to scan the QR code and send over the asset that you would like to hold. So from my main screen here, I'm going to select what I'd like to receive. In this instance, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and do Ethereum. So I tap on Ethereum. Within the asset itself, I can swipe to the left and I can get my receive screen. I can swipe to the right and get my send screen. So let's go to the receive screen. And this is my Ethereum address. Now I've got up on the screens behind me, I've got the Exodus wallet going. So I'm going to send from there to my wallet, my Coldlar wallet. So I'm just going to hit send and I'm going to scan the QR code. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send 0.1 ETH to this wallet. 0.1, send. All right, so that is sent, but guess what? This is not updating. Now, why? Well, it's like I told you before, this thing is not connected to the internet. So it has no way to update live. You have to actually go in and do it yourself using the paired app. Now, some may find this to be a hindrance, but the beauty of the way that this thing is made is that you actually never expose your private keys to the internet in any way. Now let me explain. When you're using this app, you're communicating just via QR codes and scanning, sending only the relevant information to your app. So in order to update my balance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit update on the device, and it's going to give me a QR code. Now on the app itself, I'm going to hit in the top left from my home screen, scan QR code. When I scan this, it tells it tells my phone what I'm trying to do. It tells it that I'm trying to update my balance. Once I've scanned that on the Coldlar wallet, I'm going to hit update again, and it allows me to scan the QR code on my phone. And when that happens, it updates the balance to 0.1 ETH that I have now received. So what about sending? What if I want to send back to my Exodus wallet here? Well, I can do that, and I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to go into Ethereum again. I'm going to swipe over this time to the send screen. Now, when it says pay to, I can either scan a QR code or import something from my address book, which right now I don't have any pre-designated addresses. So I'm going to go ahead and scan. And I guess I better pull up a QR code. So I'm going to scan the QR code on my computer. Now I'm going to say how much I actually want to send. 985 maybe. Yeah, that worked. Okay. And I'm going to hit OK. Now it does ask me to put in the password here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is what happens when you put together a transaction. It signs the transaction, and then it creates a QR code. So still, this transaction has not hit the internet and has not hit the Ethereum blockchain. It is only signed on my device here. This is what I need to do on the actual app. So once again, from my main screen, I hit scan QR code, and I'm going to scan my phone. Now, there are 2 QR codes I need to scan. It says 1 of 2, so I hit next, and I scan the second QR code, and it says you are sending 0.0985 ETH to this address. Would you like to do that? I'm going to hit send transaction and send successful, and I just heard it pop up on my screen here for Exodus, and I can see I have a pending incoming Ethereum transaction. And here on my Coldlar wallet, I'm going to hit OK. It says, was it successful? I hit yes, and it updates my balance. It also asks if I'd like to add that address as a default to my address book. I'm going to say no. And I now have a 0 balance because the rest went to the transaction fee. And it's all updated. If I go back to my main screen, I can see that reflected there. There is no balance remaining. So I successfully received and sent cryptocurrency from the wallet, having never provided my private key to anyone. It has only remained on this device. Now I just want to take a second to explain what's actually happening with the transaction here, because it might be a little bit confusing to you guys about how this never touches the internet, but it still is able to execute a transaction. So on this device are held the keys to your cryptocurrency accounts. All right, they're randomly generated, but they are held exclusively on this device. Now, what I can do with the device is set up a transaction like you saw, but when it comes time to send it, what I'm actually doing is I'm signing the transaction. The best way to explain this or compare it to something else is I'm proving that I own the key to that account. It would be kind of like if I was standing there in front of you and there was a locked door. And instead of actually handing you a key to that door, I go over and unlock it and show you that I've unlocked it, thus proving I have the key and the ownership of, I guess, the building, without actually having to provide you a copy of that key. And that is what this device is doing. It is proving that it has the power to unlock the account without actually giving away the key. And so when you see that QR code come up after trying to send a transaction and you scan it with your phone, you're just proving to your phone that, yes, I have these keys, I can unlock the account, and that gives the app the right to then send the currency to the designated address. I've got to say that this is probably one of the most secure ways that I've seen to use a hardware wallet, in that there is no connection to anything when you actually use this device. If you had a compromised device like a Ledger or a Trezor and connected it to something, then perhaps that could be sending out information onto the internet, but because this never touches the internet, it is, I think, just a little bit more secure than other hardware wallets. Now there's one other thing I wanted to touch on here, and that is how to add ERC20 tokens, not only to the native app on your phone, but to your Coldlar wallet itself. So back on my Coldlar wallet, so from the main screen, I'm gonna tap Coldlar wallet in the middle. This brings up the designated tokens that I've already set, but I can go, remember, to the top right into coin management to add more. Now, to get ERC20, again in the top right, there is that little logo there that you can tap on. These ones are default that you can just simply tap to add, or you can tap here and start typing to see other ERC20 tokens, and you can type to find really whatever you're looking for. Some are supported, some are not, but you can also submit any token that doesn't show up. So let's make one up. If this is a token, then I can actually try to submit for a new token, and they can then add it after the fact. It can take some time for them to do that, but that is an option. So anyways, let's just add one of the preset ones. I'm gonna add Augur. Okay, so I'm gonna tap and activate it. And when I go back, that will be on my main screen. If I go to it, I actually need to import this onto my device. So we're gonna see how to do that. We're gonna pull out the Coldlar wallet. So first things first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the top right, the little I, and that is my coin management button. And once again, to the top right, I'm gonna hit the plus sign, and it tells me to scan to add token. So this means that on my phone, what I've got to do is I've got to go and I've got to tap on the token that I've added here already. And I go to the top right where it says coin info, and I'm going to hit activate. And that's going to give me a QR code, which I can then scan. And I've now added Augur Rep to my balances on my actual device. So I can now see it is here on the main screen. I can then, just like the other assets that I've added before, use the receive screen and the send screen as I would for any other assets on the device. So all in all, what do I think of this device? Well, I have some pluses and I have some minuses, and I'm gonna leave it up to you guys what your final verdict is. Maybe you can let me know down below. So the first thing that I wanna comment on is how actually physically beautiful this thing is. The build is just so nice and sturdy, and I've got to say, it's probably the most premium feeling item that I've ever put my hands on when it comes to crypto. It is really, really nice. Yeah, definitely not something that you'd want to have on your person all the time, as with any hardware wallet, because I'd be worried about breaking it, but you do have a nice case that comes with it, so really, really beautiful device. The other couple things that I really like about this is, one, the fact that the keys stay on the device and are never communicated outside of it, and two, that it has a lot of support for various coins and ERC20 tokens, so it's quite versatile in that sense. Now on the flip side, there are three main points that may be concerns for some of you that you will have to consider before grabbing the Coldlar wallet. Number one is that neither this device nor the paired app are open source. So that means nobody can go in and audit the code and make sure it's doing what they say it's doing. There is a level of trust that you have to have in the company that they are protecting your funds appropriately. So I know there are other devices on the market that are also not open source. It's just, are you comfortable with the fact that that is the case? And that is up to the individual. Beyond that, I talked about how this device doesn't actually plug into anything, including a computer, phone, anything like that. That means there's no such thing as a firmware update. What you see is what you get, and how it functions is how it will always function. So that means if there's any flaws or anything that customers don't like, well, it's until you get the next device in line, there's really no way of fixing that. It's just, it functions how it functions. Now, I did speak with a representative. They said that they have plans for sort of like a trade-in program where you could send in your old device and they send you a new one and you pay just like a little bit extra to upgrade, more or less. But at that point, paired with the open source, the non-open source aspect of that, I think it may be a concern as to when I wiped my device, did it actually get wiped? Because I can't really audit whether that happened or not. And if so, then are you handing over a device that has private keys allocated to it? Which means you'd have to send all of the currency off of it, and yeah. So there's that to grapple with as well. So whether or not that is a no-go for you, or whether or not you think that's okay and that's just part of the price of having a premium device like that, is up to you. Which brings me to my final consideration that you'll have to look at right here. So now that we've taken a look at the wallet itself and how it works, there's one other thing to address, and that is the price. Now, at the time of making this video, there is no set retail price for the unit, but in talking with the team, they've informed me that they think it will be somewhere between $600 and $700 US. So that then begs the question, who is this device for? And there's a couple ways to think of this. For people that are just getting into crypto, that may be a steep price tag, considering that you can get other units of perhaps inferior, I don't want to say inferior builds, but less sturdy builds for around $100 US. So I would say this is either for maybe not the crypto rich, but the crypto comfortable. People who have maybe made a decent amount in crypto in the past year or so and feel comfortable throwing around a bit of money to play with a premium item like this. That being said, I do think it is a very nice unit. There are some things to consider, but all in all, I had a lot of fun playing with this thing, and I think it's one of the more interesting units, hardware wallets that I've played with in quite some time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, drop a tip if you're able to, and share this video. Also, if you'd like to support the show in another way, check out my affiliate link down below to grab yourself a hardware wallet, and I will see you guys next time on the BTC Sessions.